Oh, we're gonna do this. You know, the answer to the question is basically, yeah, pretty much. But what's up, my people? Welcome back. So very glad you are here. I'm gonna do my best to keep the sunshine, which is right there, from messing with my video like it did last time. Man, it is a great day. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are. Oh, hello, Mr. Caterpillar. It's like a, little caterpillar. Anyways, hope you're having a fantastic day. It is a great day, and we are going to answer one of history's oldest questions, and really just try to give you my insight, especially as a quote-unquote newer Catholic, on how do we even approach this topic. And basically the question is the institute of the Catholic Church, the institution of the Catholic Church, is it basically corrupt? And we're going to answer that question. We're going to grapple with that a little bit, and when we get to the end, hopefully I'm going to share with you kind of how I approach that, what it means to be a Catholic and wrestle with that question, and some words from Jesus that I think have helped me land in a way where I can acknowledge the reality, but not lose my faith. Because that's kind of where we're at. Before we do that, however, time to make the algorithm dance. Please like, subscribe, do all the good things that help promote this channel that are free. It's a beautiful thing. Please do all those things. Like, subscribe, share this. Man, if you know somebody who has posed this question or wrestled with or is wrestling with this question, please share this video. And if you're considering becoming Catholic, this video is particularly for you, because I think there are a few times in history where it is very difficult to enter into the Catholic Church because of the institution that it is and how it's being run. And I'd make the argument this is one of those times. That said, the other way you can help support this channel, go to GarrettHeinz.com, reach out, let me know that you're interested, and commission an icon from the studio. There is nothing like a piece of sacred art made by a real human being, in this case me, that can help you grow in your faith. I genuinely believe that iconography is one of the great sacramentals that helps us grow in our faith. And that's why I do it. I don't do it just to make money, as nice as that is. No, I do it because I believe that the work God gives me to make helps you and those around you to grow in your spirituality. So go to GarrettHeinz.com, commission an icon, give me the opportunity and the blessing to create a piece of sacred art for you, made just for you, which I'll talk about that sometime in another video. Now, that said, all the cool things done, is the Catholic Church a corrupt institution? And, I think there's a couple ways to look at that question. The tree in our yard is starting to lose leaves. It really is fall. Winter's coming. Okay. Is it a corrupt institution? I think that's a trickily worded question, because all institutions are corrupt. Or a better way to say that might be, all institutions within them have a stream of corruption that flows through them. And the Catholic Church is no different. I was listening to Matt Fradd interview Father Mike Schmitz, who I have a great deal of respect for. And Fradd made the comment that the Catholic Church is probably one of the most corrupt institutions anywhere on the planet at any time in history. And I tend to agree with that. Not because the church, meaning the body of Christ, is corrupt, but meaning that the organization itself has corruption within it, which you would think at face value should be pretty straightforward, because it is an organization, and in order to have an organization you have to have human beings, And when you have human beings, you're going to have corruption. Now, that is not to excuse the corruption that is within the church. That is not to excuse the choices and the harm and the poor leadership that we as Catholics endure on a day-to-day basis. Is there corruption in the church? Absolutely. 100%, unequivocally, yes. That said, it has always been like that. St. Catherine of Siena, in her letters, addresses the corruption of her time. St. Francis of Assisi, in his time, addresses corruption. There has always been and always will be corruption within the church. There will always be those people who seek positions of authority and leadership within our church for the sake of power and authority. That corruption will always be there. And to be honest, I've really wrestled with that. Because like, dadgum, man. This is supposed to be the kingdom of heaven, where God's light shines, where love prevails, where goodness is seen throughout all the earth. And it can be very easy to very quickly slip into cynical belief and throw your hands up and want to walk away. And I understand that because I wrestled with that and wrestle with that currently. And it is hard to face. I think one of the additional difficulties that we have in our time is this thing. You know, we have instant access to all things at all time. And it is very easy to get caught up in all of the crap that's going on. And I'm reminded of the Imitation of Christ, where Thomas à Kempis writes, basically, this is my paraphrase, if you stay away from the news, you're a happier person. And I remember reading that and be like, yes, that is correct. You are right, sir. Very, very appropriately said. And I'm guilty of everybody else of checking all the websites and looking at all the news and wondering what is the next thing that's going to hurt my heart and lead to disappointment. You know, I'll share when Pope Leo appointed, gosh, I forgot all the names. Shoot. You can tell how this has affected me. When Pope Leo appointed the person that he appointed to what I think is the dicastery of the arts. I said that 100% wrong. Please, in the comments, will you correct me so that I can learn? Because I forgot to look it up this morning before I made my video. But the person that he appointed is the last person that the church needs to run the fine arts arm of the Catholic Church. And as an artist, it peeves me to the core. And if I'm not careful, I will let that frustration infect my spirituality and breed cynicism in my heart. And that's the last thing I need when I am trying to follow Jesus. It is easy to let the corruption infect you. And it's deeply frustrating. So what do we do? You know, there are some who would say that the corruption within the church points to a reality that the church is not the church Christ founded, that it's a heretical faith, that it's not actually Christianity, fill in the blank. All of them are wrong. If corruption is an indication that the church is not the church, then there is no arm of, like all of Christianity is false, because Protestantism has corruption, Orthodoxy has corruption, there is corruption everywhere. Shoot, you can go all the way back to the 12, where Judas and all his corruption is a part of Christ's movement. So that is obviously not the answer. Walking away from the faith is not the answer. It's just the devil trying to drag you away from the beauty that is the church. So what do we do? What do we do when we live in a world where we have access all the time to all the corrupt things and we can see them? And I'll offer you two things. These are the two things that I am employing in order to keep my heart healthy for Jesus. And the first one is I take more of what I'm probably going to call like a medieval Irish approach. And what I mean by that is simply, if I went back to the time of St. Patrick and I'm some no-name farmer dude living in Ireland somewhere, the odds that I know what the Pope is doing, what the cardinals are doing, what the bishops are doing in other areas, the odds that I know any of that are zero. Unless my priest happens to get a letter that happens to share a thing, like I'm probably not going to have access to the kind of information that I have access to today. Therefore, all I'm tasked with doing is keeping the faith and working diligently at the things I've been given to do. So that's what I do. I try to stop accessing all the information. I'm not perfect at it. I mess up. I go to websites, I look at the news, I get pissed off, I pray about it, and I walk away from it. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to take that approach. If I lived in medieval Europe without any access to what the leaders of the church are doing, would this kind of stuff bother me? No, because I wouldn't have access to it. So that's how I'm trying to live. Secondly, and this one I think is more important, and this one went off like a light bulb in my head when I when I came across Matthew 5. It was in my daily reading, and Jesus points to the Pharisees, and he says, unless your righteousness is greater than that of the Pharisees, you have no place in the kingdom. And it just like, duh, even all the way back to the time of Jesus, there have been corrupt leaders within the religious structure. And Jesus himself acknowledges this. Do what they say, do not do what they do, is what Christ commands. Because what they're teaching is correct, what they're doing is not. And so the words of Jesus just like struck me in the face. Right, my job as a follower of Jesus is not to point to the Pharisees and say, look at all their corruption. It's to look inward and go, look at all of my corruption. Look at all of my brokenness. How, Jesus, do I be more faithful to your commands so that my faith, my righteousness is greater than that of the Pharisees of my time? That's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. Because I know how frustrating it is to look around and feel like it's been centuries since we've had good leadership. And if you allow that thought to infect your spirituality, your prayer life suffers, your heart suffers, your family suffers, and it's just not worth it. So we have to take our eyes off of the Pharisees of our day, who are out there seeking power for the sake of power, who are seeking wealth for the sake of wealth, who are intentionally pushing their own agendas. We have to stop looking at all of that. Look at Jesus and then go, make me more like you, Lord, so that my righteousness is what you want it to be. That's my goal. I'm trying to grow closer to Jesus. Whatever corruption is within the church, that's for the Lord to deal with. That's not mine to deal with. Unless he calls me to that, which is not going to happen. And I'm very okay with that. So that's what I want to encourage you to do. Get off the internet. Stop looking at all the YouTube channels that are promoting controversy and talking about this Pope did this and this Cardinal did that and there's this teaching. There's a place for that for some people, but it's not for most of us. Most of us just need to spend time in silence and solitude, in prayer, reading the scriptures, and growing closer to Jesus. That's what we are called to. I hope that helps you let go of the frustration of the corruption of our day and reorients your spiritual journey so that your focus is on Jesus and growing in your own spiritual righteousness. Because that's what we need. We need more people pursuing Jesus with all their being, and less people worried about the corruption within the institution. I hope that helps you do that. I hope somehow that helps you grow closer to Jesus, because that's the whole goal of this channel. Help you grow closer to the Lord, who loves you like crazy. And that's all I got for you today. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Till I see you next time, keep climbing.